Hello, everybody. It is I, Mario Mijares, your friendly neighborhood astrologer, aka the Blu-ray Bodhisattva. How's it going, everybody? Today is the day of the Cancer full moon, the first full moon of 2025, and it is quite an intense one. There are a lot of aspects um, that are going on within this full moon. The moon in Cancer right now is very, very busy. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling restless and agitated, um, while also feeling tired, exhausted, um, and easily irritable, that's totally fine. It's totally okay. The moon is is in communication with multiple planets right now, with the most obvious connection being the moon conjunct to Mars at 27 degrees. The full moon is occurring at 23, 24 degrees Cancer and 23, 24 degrees Capricorn. So the full moon is occurring on the Cancer Capricorn axis. And Mars being retrograde at 27 degrees Cancer is within proximity of a conjunction to this moon and opposition to this sun in Capricorn. An also important thing to note is how Pluto in Aquarius at 1 degree, um, technically the opposition has faded away, but it is still being felt. That Pluto opposition to Mars that began, oh gosh, it started forming over 2 weeks ago, apex maybe about a week and a half ago, and started fading away. So we're still in proximity of dealing with that pressure. And this is the second out of three Mars Pluto opposition that we are going through in a short amount of time. Generally, Mars opposed Pluto happens only once every 2 years. And within the span of, I think, maybe 6 months, we are experiencing three. So this is very intense. And this is due to Mars going retrograde. The first Mars Pluto opposition began, I think it was in the month of October or maybe early November. This was before Mars entered Leo, right before Mars entered Leo, before Pluto entered Aquarius. Pluto was hanging out at that 29-degree point of Capricorn for a very long time. Months, I think months, Pluto was hanging out there at that 29-degree point last year. And for those of you who don't really know, the 29th degree point of any sign is always a very significant, important one. It's called the anaretic degree because it is the completion of understanding that archetypal energy of that sign. And so when planets are passing through that anaretic degree, it is a culmination of what that planet's journey has been like, moving through those 30 degrees from 0 to 29 and bringing it to an end, to a close, and moving into that next sign, that new cycle. And it has taken about 16, 18 years for Pluto and Capricorn to move through 0 degrees Capricorn all the way to 29 degrees Capricorn and finally starting a new cycle in Aquarius. So 16 to 18 years, we're talking, of Pluto being in Capricorn. And for last year, I think it was November, October, when Mars was at 29 degrees Cancer. uh, Mars in Cancer opposed Pluto in Cancer, both at that 29-degree point. And that is a very, very significant event to occur um, while Pluto's very last days in Capricorn for the next 250 years. So that's a very, very, very significant ending of that Pluto Capricorn transit, the anaretic degree, 29 degrees, that climatic point. And now that Pluto is in Aquarius, it doesn't mean that that event is over. It's evolving and shifting because the next two Mars Pluto oppositions occurring, which the second one we just finished. The third one is happening in a couple of months. Um, these oppositions are occurring with Mars in Leo and Pluto in Aquarius. So it's still taking the initial Mars Pluto opposition at the anaretic degrees of Cancer and Capricorn, and it's still pushing it forward. So it's carrying over into this next era of the Pluto Aquarian transit. And it's very significant because it's all connected. We're moving into the next stage of humanity growing and transforming. So, um, this first Mars Pluto opposition that occurred on the anaretic degrees of 29-degree Cancer, 29-degree Capricorn, very significant. Um, First off, Mars Mars in Cancer is not at his best there. He is at his fall in Cancer. And the reason why is because Mars is a masculine fire energy. It's a very yang energy. Mars is very assertive, very dominating, very action oriented, very instinctual and impulsive. Like a gazelle in the wild. Something triggers the instincts of a gazelle to have the instant reaction and response to just start running without knowing the evidence or even processing the sensations. It's just from instinct to action and running. And next thing you know, a lion or a cheetah is coming out of nowhere. The gazelle had no idea. It just felt the instinct to start running. Uh, so that's Mars energy. Cancer, very sensitive, very psychic energy. Cancer is a water sign that represents the ocean, the entire ocean, all the oceans in the world. And in astrology, the element water is attributed to our psychic capabilities because it is through water and our emotions, that where psychic energy moves through in ripples and waves. The quantum field. We can also consider the quantum field being one vast ocean, and psychic energy moves through our emotions and how we project it and how we project those emotions out and also how we receive that. Cancer is a very, very powerful sign. Do not ever sleep on Cancer. It is one of the most powerful signs in the entire zodiac, and Cancer is severely undermined for its capabilities and how scary psychic Cancer is. So the thing about the reason why Mars is not at his best in Cancer is because Cancer has to take the time to process the emotions. So if a gazelle in the wild felt the instinct to start running, but then took those extra seconds to process, why am I feeling this? Why do I feel this compulsion to run? What is this feeling? What is this psychic input that I'm receiving? Too late, caught by the lion, eaten up, torn to shreds, food for the pride, So Mars in Cancer is a period where that masculine energy within us, that drive, that assertiveness within us has to take a beat and pause and actually analyze how they're feeling. And this frustrates Mars. And and that also translates to the collective being frustrated with themselves right now because this is not a time, Mars retrograde. So Mars was in Cancer last year from, forgive me, I don't have the exact dates written down. You can look it up. I can look it up. I don't want to bother with the time. Um, Mars was in Cancer from around September to November, maybe even end of August. Mars was in Cancer for a substantial amount of time last year, and it's because midway through transiting Cancer, Mars began to slow down his pace, and that is when he entered the shadow period and moved into Leo. So last year we had a lot of Mars in Cancer energy, and that is when things began triggering. That's when things began surfacing and being initiated for a lot of deep internal work to start unfolding. One of the reasons why is because during that time last year, when Mars transited through Cancer, the first round, Mars made a square to the North and South node in Aries and Libra, and that square was quite intense. There was another thing Mars did as soon as he entered Cancer, but I can't remember that right now. So the nodes of fate, when a planet is squaring the nodes of fate, the North and South node, it generates an experience. Some astrologers call this experience a skip step, a skip step. And what that basically means is skipping a lot of steps in one's soul growth. And the skip step basically is an intense experience where there is a compression of a lot of karma and lessons needing to understand and integrate in order to grow out of that particular holding pattern and move into a new growth stage. So skip steps or squares to the North and South node are typically fairly intense. It depends. It really depends on what planet is actually squaring the North and South node. They don't always have to be extremely intense, but they do generate that momentum and that triggering for growth to occur. And the reason is the South node is the past, the accumulation of karma. Past life energetics are in there, and then the North node is fated events. It's the future. It's the unknown territory. And so when we have these nodes here intersected, then basically you can just imagine that planet coming in and creating a wobble effect where the energies of the past and that karma has to surface in order for the growth paths to occur, the choice points to occur, where you can realize the certain cycles you have been in and now see the direction that you need to go in order to finally change certain karmic patterns that you've been dealing with. And people experience this on an individual level, and this also happens on a collective global scale as well. And during the time of the first Cancer-Pluto opposition last year, it occurred. When did it occur? It's like sometime in September. Oh no, this wasn't the opposition. Forgive me. When Mars was squaring the North and South node last year, that is when Hurricane Helene happened. And I live in North Carolina. I actually was not home for that. I was actually on a cruise with my wife. We were on our honeymoon. We had no idea that the hurricane was even happening until days afterwards. So just to put that out there, Cancer comes from the fourth house, ruled by the moon, and these things govern home, the house, the family structure. And when Hurricane Helene hit, it devastated thousands of homes. There are thousands and thousands of homes that have been destroyed. And my wife and I, we looked it up recently because we were wanting to see the comparative numbers of how many homes have been damaged in the fires in California to the homes that have been damaged in the Appalachians from Hurricane Helene. And believe it or not, but the damage that Hurricane Helene did, the amount of homes that have been destroyed are still far greater than the homes that have been burnt down in California. And I don't mean that, for one to one up one another, but I just also want to just keep in mind that there are places all around that are dealing with catastrophe and devastation where they are becoming severely displaced, no longer having that home place, no longer having that sanctuary place, and the family unit being completely disrupted. So during that Mars square to the North and South node, we experienced that hurricane, and it brought devastation through multiple states in the Appalachians, and really bad in North Carolina here, Western North Carolina here. Now, that Mars Pluto opposition that occurred on those anaretic degrees of Cancer and Pluto of Cancer and Capricorn. Now, this is complex. The way I see it is very complex, because I have to explain to you the significance of this Pluto and Capricorn transit. So Pluto, the last time Pluto was in Capricorn was approximately 250 years or so, give or take a few years. And what was happening around that time, 250 years ago? Well, America wasn't even an independent country yet. So the thing about Pluto, Pluto in Greek mythology is Hades, Lord of the underworld. And the way I see that through an astrological lens, the underworld representing the unconscious, the things that we suppress into the unconscious, our shadows, the things that we hide, certain traits or things about us that we rather keep secret because we don't want to be seen. We don't want that vulnerability to be seen. And when you are fully seen and have full transparency, well, then you don't have any, you're not able to hide any cards that can, that you can use to manipulate, or you can't keep secrets. So Pluto is a very intense sign because, one example that I like to give is, we have all the Greek gods, right? And we have Mount Olympus, the in the heavens where all the Greek gods get to party up with Zeus, right? We got Zeus, which is Jupiter, the king of gods, and he just gets to party and bone, all the gods and humans and all the fucking animals that he wants to have sex with, and it's all good, and they're sipping on that ambrosia. Venus is looking fine, Athena's looking fine, and then we got Mars, we got Hermes, we got all these other celestial gods that get to party up in the heavens, right? Except for one. And which god is that? That's Hades, aka Pluto. Pluto has to remain in the underworld and rule that domain. That's his domain. So whereas on the surface, everybody gets to have a good time and act like they're, bright and shiny. Pluto actually knows who everyone really is. So Pluto knows all of those gods' secrets. Pluto knows all of your secrets. Pluto knows that you're really not that great of a person, that you have this and that secrets, that you have these and these obsessions and desires, and that you are, manipulating a whole lot of things, or you're just completely unaware of your own shadow and don't and actually really believe that you have no problems, you have no issues, and everything that you're doing is good. But when in reality you're just being inherently selfish and causing a whole lot of damage. So this is Pluto, and and Pluto has to deal with knowing who everyone is at a core level, both your light and your dark. And Pluto gets a bad rap in astrology. Pluto is known as the great destructor, the great revealer, because Pluto will literally destroy uh, everything that you have created in order to reveal everything that has been kept hidden beneath the surface, everything that that has been kept hidden within your subconscious mind. So these are Plutonian themes, and Pluto seeks to reveal falsities, to reveal lies, to reveal secrets, to reveal manipulation, so we can get down to the core truth of things and experience a transformation where a death needs to occur, a death of the old false structures, a revelation of your ego, and having to go through that process of the ego death and increasing your self-awareness that leads to a transformation. And that transformation is a result of being more pure, more real in who you are and the expression of who you are. And when I say pure, I don't mean like a better, good, positive person, because we have pure evil, we have pure good. What I mean is pure in who you are, meaning that you are really true. You're very true in your expression, and you're not really hiding anything. So, Capricorn, Capricorn is the sign that is ruled by Saturn. Both Saturn and Capricorn rule the 10th house, and these are energies that govern in our world, rules, systems, regulations, corporations, um, organizations, authority. Capricorn is about integrity. Coming from the 10th house, sitting on the top of the charts, Capricorn is all about legacy and success. So, um, you know, with Capricorn being associated to government, to military, to systems that have authority, aka the police, aka the military, aka the Federal Reserve, aka the EHS, all these letter organizations that have some sort of um, authority in ruling and controlling and creating systems that govern our entire mundane matrix reality. So if Pluto is the planet that seeks to reveal lies, secrets, manipulations, unconscious shadows, taboos, Pluto and Capricorn, Pluto moving through Capricorn is a period where where government and systems of authority go through massive amounts of exposure of their lack of integrity, their lies, their manipulations, all sorts of things. So, for example, the moment Pluto entered Capricorn, 2008, and 2007, we went through a recession in our country, in the United States, where the housing market crashed and all sorts of things. I've said this before, but in my years of being an astrologer and traveling and going to conventions and whatnot, primarily disclosure conventions, there have been numerous amounts of people that I have met face to face and talked to them. And one of the questions is that we all eventually ask each other. So when was that moment where you unplugged from the matrix? When was your awakening? When did you realize what's been going on in the world? And so many people, especially Gen Xers, not so much millennials because we were too young to really be impacted directly. So these are people slightly older than I am that lost everything. They had their own business, they had just bought a house, or they were realtors some sort. And when the recession happened and the housing market crashed, people lost their businesses, they lost their homes, they lost everything. And these are the people that were raised to do everything right. You go to school, you get an education, you learn a trade, you get a job, you pay into your taxes, you pay into your retirement, you do all these things because this is the system that has been laid out for us. And for the baby boomers, it worked for them. And they're like, yeah, this works. I'm on my pension. So this is what you got to do, son. This is what you got to do, daughter. And so these are the people who've lost everything. And this was one of the earlier things that happened to really start to awaken people to realize that it's all rigged. The stocks are rigged, the housing market's rigged, everything, it's all rigged. It's there, we can't trust this. And over the years, more things began to occur. What else happened during the Pluto Capricorn transit is the Me Too movement. Because Me Too movement, remember the women began making posts with the hashtag Me Too that they've experienced sexual abuse, sexual molestation within the work field, within other people. And it was a huge eye-opening event that really showed everyone in America and in the world just exactly how much fucked up bullshit women go through in workspaces. Because that's another thing that Pluto governs is sexual energy, sexual taboos, obsessions. And that's another thing because now we have women who are in these workspaces and they're working for CEOs or they're working in certain industries and they are either expected or bribed or asked to perform sexual favors, or they're degraded in some sexual way in the work field. And that's another component of exposing so many different corruptions within authority, within the uh, uh, patriotic, I don't know, is it the masculine energy, the patriarchy. So uh, a lot has been going on, and one of the most intense periods of this Pluto Capricorn transit was during 2019, 2020, even 2018, going into 2021. And what was going on during that time? COVID, the pandemic. All right. And that was a huge, intense period because we had a lot of planets in Capricorn at that time. we had the South Node in Capricorn. Was it the South? Yeah, we had the South Node in Capricorn. We had Saturn in Capricorn back at home in his ruling planet Capricorn. We had Mars in Capricorn. We had Jupiter in Capricorn. We had a fucking eclipse during Capricorn season where Venus was there, Mercury was there. I think Mars was there as well. So that was a huge, intense period, and that is also when lockdowns began happening, all sorts of things. And this was an intense period because it created a massive divide, created a huge divide where people were falling in line. They were definitely conditioned, definitely groomed. They were still plugged into the matrix and were not aware of how fucked up the government is, not just our government, but the global elite party, the agenda, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the New World Order, you know, these fucking people, the World Economic Forums, you know, Klaus Schwab, and all these individuals and organizations, you know. But on the other end, this was another point where so many people in the whole world woke up and they realized. And you know, even now, even today, in the aftermath, there are truths being exposed of of the lies and the secrets and the manipulations that occurred during those COVID years. You know, we have the truth of the information happening about Wuhan, about masks and social distancing, about the vaccine. All of these things are surfacing, and it is just a matter of time of more and more people really accepting the truth and waking up to that. So this Pluto and Capricorn transit did a lot to set the stage for humanity to realize that the powers that be, the groups and the organizations and the systems that we, you know, vote through democracy to govern our world, our society, we're realizing that it's all fucking corrupt. Every single inch of it is fucking corrupt. And what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do about it? So going back to 250 years ago, what was occurring during that time? Well, you know, uh, the last time Pluto was in Capricorn, so basically, America became a country when Pluto was at the 27-degree point of Capricorn. Okay, this was 1976, 77. I mean, not 19, 1776, 1777. Someone look up what year that was and put it in the comments. Um, but this was a long time ago. Okay. And so the building up to that point, building up to that point where America finally became an independent country, we had to go through war. We had to fight the monarchies. We had to fight the royal kingdom, the redcoats and the British and all those people, and get them out of America and claim that this is now America, a sovereign, independent country. So what were the series of events that were occurring leading up to that point? Well, we had the 13 colonies, we had slavery, we had things going on here in the early stages of this country. And one of the issues is that we had the royal families, the monarchies, whether they were French, whether they were German, whether they were Italian, whether they were British, you know, Europe. You know, the king, they all were coming in here, and we had an settlers coming here as well, people that wanted to get away from living in Europe under the kingdom, basically not being able to have a life for themselves, just poverty, taxes, all bad, coming over here to this new world full of resources and abundance and a free land where they are able to create a home and move up in the world as for themselves. Where then eventually over time it became the same fucking situation that they were dealing with over in Europe, where everything that they were working for was being taken and used for the kingdom, brought over to Europe. These families, French families, these high status royal families coming in here, taking up all the resources and increasing taxes. So many different things were going on, very similar to what's happening here. And the consciousness of the people back then. They had enough of this. Okay. And what was, one of the terms that they, one of the chants, one of the phrases that they, came up with back then that inspired them to say enough is enough, is that taxation without representation is theft, stealing. So they were being taxed and being unrepresented and not knowing what all this money was going for. And basically they were, it was all bullshit. So, you know, then they started an uprising. Okay. Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, who were the other people? I don't remember all the folks, but these people were the founding fathers, right? John Hancock. Who are some other ones? John Rutledge. A lot of people. All these names are on the Constitution of the on our Constitution. So they started this war, this uprising, and fighting, right? They had to come together. All 13 colonies had to come together and say enough is enough. We're not fucking doing this. And we fought in war and we won, and America became an independent country. So all that to say that this time around, Pluto going into Capricorn, this is our country's very first Pluto return ever. America's very young. Okay. China's been through many Pluto returns. Europe's been through many Pluto returns. Russia's been through many Pluto returns. All these other countries that have had civilization for hundreds, thousands of years, they've had many Pluto returns. This is America's very first Pluto return. And so when a country is going through a Pluto return, they're going through a review of things. They're going through a review. It's where things over the past 250 years come to the surface. Certain patterns come to repeat, but it's very intense for America because America's Pluto is Capricorn, and Capricorn is government, authority, rulership, systems, corporations, banks, all these things, right? So this Pluto Capricorn transit, set the stage and did all these things. So that way now, after the math, when we do our due diligence, when we go through the courts, when we get the data and we do the research and we run the scientific tests and all that stuff, we then have the truth. Okay. The truth that we've been duped. We've been lied. We've been manipulated. We've been robbed. And we are in a prison, basically. And there are these agendas, smart city agendas, all these other operations and stuff. So with the other thing to understand is that the sun sign of America is Cancer. So in America's natal chart, America's sun sign is Cancer, and America's Pluto is Capricorn. And last year, right before Pluto was finally ending his time in Capricorn, at the 29-degree point, Mars is in Cancer opposing it. That's very, very significant. And the way I look at it, it's significant pertaining to the collective karma we have here as citizens, as inhabitants of this land, of this country, where we are once again put in this position of having to realize how the lack of integrity, and realize that this current ruling structure cannot stand anymore, and we need to do something about it. And the other thing to understand about Cancer, Cancer governs home, family, but then when we extend that out as to what else is home and family, we have your home state, your hometown, your home country, and so Cancer is also the sign of patriotism, your motherland, your homeland. This is our country. So, and Mars being the sign of the warrior, and Pluto being, the planet of death and transformation, people right now here in this country are having to go through this intense crisis point of realizing that we really do need to stand up to protect our families, to protect our children, to protect our home against the tyranny of our corrupt government. That's which is not even American government anymore. It's a global elite government. Okay, and this is just one faction of that. So very intense. And so this full moon, I said all of that just to get back to this full moon energy here. So, now, so after that first Mars Pluto opposition, Pluto eventually went into Aquarius, Mars went into Leo, and Mars kept moving and then retrograded and had another opposition with Pluto, but this time their opposition was 1 degree Pluto and 1 degree Pluto in Aquarius and 1 degree Mars retrograde in Leo. So this sort of changes the dynamic, but we're still dealing with the carryover of the previous Mars Pluto opposition, because the overall theme is having to do with this anaretic point, this climatic point of what we're dealing with as a collective in these Cancerian Capricorn axis themes. So yeah, this is so complex. This is very intense. This is the way I see it. This is how I'm interpreting all of the things. There's a lot more behind everything with all of this. So let's just get back to the full moon, right? So the moon is in Cancer, making contacts to so many planets right now, opposing the sun in Capricorn, but then we have Mars there in there. So as a collective here in this country, we're all being severely impacted right now by just what we're feeling as a collective through that quantum field, the ocean. Remember, Cancer governs the ocean, the psychic emotional input and output of our emotions. So, we're still dealing with the devastating impacts of Hurricane Helene. There are people that have so many fucked up deaths that occur here. The death toll is in the hundreds over here of what happened. Landslides, homes gone, thousands of people displaced. That's fucked up. Okay. And even over the months, as time goes on, like, we're still aware of this. Even though I'm going to work, you're going to work, you're doing your thing, there is a part of you that is processing that emotional impact, because we are a collective and we are all connected through this quantum field and this ocean of our brothers and sisters, being, out here. And now that it's winter and it's fucking snowing and it's raining and we got windy and there's people dealing with tents and CPS is trying to take their children because they don't have a home, all this bullshit, right? And then we have fires happening in California, that sort of thing going on. Like, everybody is feeling some type of way right now, whether they want to admit it or not, whether they are aware of it or not, because so many people don't want to deal with having to feel down in the dumps, with having to feel sad, with having to feel angry, because we live in a society where it's better for us to chipper up, buttercup. And so even out here with people that I work with, people that I know who lost family members in the hurricane, they're not, they don't want to express any anger or sadness because they want to they don't. And so they're dealing with that in a private way, but I know that they're dealing with that. And there is a righteous anger that has not yet been triggered in a lot of people, because they're not connecting their loss and the impact to the culprits, and that there is an actual literal culprit to blame for this, and it was not just some freak accident event that you just need to accept. So everyone right now is feeling a lot as a collective, as a society. And with Mars being there in Cancer, we're dealing with an intense raging frustration of our emotions, because we're in this position of like, what do we do? What the fuck do we do? Like, what happened here? What happened in California here with these fires? What in the world happened? Smart meters catching homes on fire from the inside out? we have homeless people starting fires all around, and these homeless people are illegal immigrants with blowtorches and burning things, and they're carrying fucking what was it, United Nations debit cards. Like, what is going on here? You know, the direct energy weapons. Okay, how are blue roofs, homes with blue roofs, still standing? How are these fires able to melt metal in these cars? It makes no fucking sense, and it's reconnecting and opening up what happened in Maui, in Lahaina, with that fire as well, and how many deaths and all the things that occurred there as well. So it's like, what the fuck is going on? What do we do? I don't know what to do. This is this collective fucking pressure. And then we still have people that are like, yeah, hey, what's up, everybody? So do you want to know what kind of starseed you are? Well, come on over to my fucking workshop and we'll tell you, just by looking at a picture of your eyeball, if you're Syrian, if you're Arcturian, if you're Pleiadian, and we will even figure out what your secret mission is here on planet Earth. Also, don't eat animals because climate change. Okay. There are major fucked up distortions happening right now, and no one is waking up to the reality of things. Okay. Well, let me rephrase that. It's not that no one's waking up. We have our group, we have our community, right? We have our disclosure community, where we know these things, and we're sharing the memes, we're sharing the information, and we're trying to get other people to see and understand what's really going on. But I'm talking about everyone else, okay? If I leave this house and I drive around and I go to the grocery store, I guarantee you nearly 10 out of 11 people, maybe the numbers are even higher. Maybe it's 1 out of every 50 person that I see at the grocery store has any single fraction of a wherewithal of what even is actually fucking going on. Okay. So this is a major issue that's happening here. And people are feeling this, like, what do we do? What, they just burnt down. Like, California is on fire. What is happening? This is not a freak accident. This is all by the fucking Gavin Newsom. He seems chipper as fuck. you know what's this talks about a new city and the Olympics being held in Los Angeles 2028, and how there are plans to build a smart city in Los Angeles by 2028. Like, did they do this on purpose to burn all these homes and clear the land so they can build this city? And the insurance company is pulling out the money. Like, what's happening? Do we just bend over and take it? Do we just keep sharing memes? Like, what is going on here? So this full moon is very intense emotionally. And I believe that Mars is retrograde in Cancer right now, is wanting us to process these feelings and to pause and take a step back from all of our other endeavors in the world, such as, I don't know, like, just wanting to just take a moment to reflect on these things and to really feel it, because there's a shift in the direction of where we need to be focusing our energy. The primary directive of our entire life here right now, like, where are we going through right now, and how do we protect our country? How do we protect our citizens? How do we protect our homes, our families, and the children? What do we do here? Or should I give another lecture presentation on how you can change your life if you join me in this somatic breathwork exercise, followed by a DMT trip, experience at the end of this? Like, what are we going to do here with all this stuff now? Other planets that the moon is making connections with during this time right now is Uranus in Taurus. Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. This has been a long Uranus and Taurus transit. It's actually a normal Uranus Taurus transit. Uranus takes approximately 7 years through to move through one sign. But for whatever reason, for me, this feels like a very long one. Maybe because it's Taurus, and Taurus is slow, fixed, stubborn bull. Um, but Uranus is that planet of shock, that planet of randomness, of sudden shock, you know. And in Taurus, Uranus is also the high level genius. It's that frequency that is connecting to intelligence beyond this solar system. Uranus is very alien. So whereas the moon is like your emotional satellite to process your own personal emotions and what you're picking up and receiving from, the emotional quantum field around you, Uranus is another satellite that is picking up higher frequencies coming from the great beyond, and they're very alien. And so Uranus is just this advanced energy that ultimately wants to create evolution and growth, whether it's technological, whether it's conscious evolution, or whatever. It wants to create evolution in things. And in Taurus, um, in Taurus, Uranus and Taurus, anytime Uranus is in Taurus, it creates an instability within Earth's resources, within money, within property, within food. The last time Uranus was in Taurus was shortly after World War II, and that's when we went through the Great Depression, and we had famines, we had Great Depressions. It was a horrible time. So Uranus creates an instability. There's an instability right now in currencies, in money. Now more than ever, the realness and the intensity of the American dollar becoming obsolete is far more real and potential to happen right now than ever before. So with Uranus and Taurus, it's caused a lot of disruptions in Earth's resources, the things that we value. For example, food, right? We have scientists putting technology into food, lab grown meat, GMO everything. A lot of disruptions, weird things happening with food. But then we also have, on the flip side of that, a lifestyle cultural phenomenon where people are coming back to the roots and coming back to owning their own property and growing their own food, which hundreds of years ago, that's completely normal. But in today's society, something like that is now unconventional. It's now an unnormal, unconventional lifestyle of living, to just say, fuck the world, fuck the system, fuck all this stuff. I want to become self-sufficient and have my own fucking farm and sell microgreens at the farmer's market. And that's how I'm going to make my living. So on the flip side, that's another thing that's happening. So people are waking up and being shaken around these things and going back to certain roots and foundations, while technology and all this stuff is getting in our food, and there are certain good things and bad things about that. And then money and our resources and property and lands are also changing as well, with the birth of cryptocurrency. This is advanced quantum computer technology, Uranus, right? Creating a decentralized banking system, money, currency, transactions, Taurus, this sort of thing. So Uranus and Taurus is making a sextile to the moon, sextile to that Mars retrograde in Cancer. And this is another powerful influence to make people very agitated and restless right now. So whereas Mars brings the heat, Mars is boiling the water and is bringing the heat and the passion to want to have the emotional outbursts. Uranus is that energy that is going to create an event or create something that is very sudden and unpredictable, to basically crack the dam that's holding back the raging waters so the floodgates can be released, and that emotional venting, that emotional release can now happen. And it is destructive. It will be destructive. It is destructive, or maybe I should say it can be destructive. It's sort of lined up to be destructive because everything that we have built right now is false. We're living in a false world. This is a false system, and we're living a lie. I remember, during COVID, I realized, the lie I was living in. I realized my job. I was like, oh my God, this job is bullshit. Like, I mean, it's a good thing. Like, this nonprofit is doing a good thing protecting the river. But there are certain bullshit uh things happening with this job. My work title at this place is bullshit. I think I need this job for the benefits, for the money I'm making, the health insurance, because I got a brain tumor and I need doctors, so I need medical insurance for the brain tumor. I need to pay for these medications. I also need the job to keep up with my rent because I signed a lease. I energetically binded my soul to this lease contract to stay within this prison cell located in Portland, Oregon, in District C, cell block D, apartment 62. Like, I'm in the grid. I'm locked. I'm here. This is all fucking fake. The foundation of everything that I built in my life to be here is not real. Thank you, COVID. I'm fucking out of here. Peace. And this is sort of the same destruction that is falling through here on a massive collective scale. So realizing how this is the Truman Show. You're living your own Truman Show here, okay? And what are you going to do to change that? What are you going to do to awaken out of that? So, um, yeah, so many things going on here. And then we have Neptune also making a trine to this moon as well. Neptune making a trine to the moon, making a trine to Mars and Cancer. And Neptune is the divinity. It's the divine. It's the spiritual component of it. It's the component that's making this um uh feeling spiritual or supernatural. It's bringing the ghosts, it's bringing the aliens, it's bringing the prayers and connecting to that higher energy, to your Christ energy, to um you know celestial beings. It's that sort of practice. And what do we do right now when we're dealing with an overwhelm of raging water emotions and a dam that is being struck by Uranus lightning to open the floodwaters for these emotions to come in and basically flood, flood the fucking, consciousness here? What do we do? What do we do? Get back into your prayer. Make sure you're staying into your prayer. Make sure that you're communing in with your heart, and opening yourself in true humility to receive wisdom, to receive guidance, in understanding, your position and your place in this point now. And pray for protection, pray for guidance, pray for humanity, and find out, what sort of miracles you can ask for in your own personal life that can guide you in the direction of what God, universe, source, creator wants you to do with the rest of your time here on earth, as things are going to continue to intensify and shift for everyone on this planet. So Neptune is that component, right? Of bringing in the mysticism, the energy, the meaning, the purpose, and how to transcend into a higher vibration. Contrary to that, Neptune is also bringing in the vibrations for everybody to fall in the vibrations of victim mentality, of martyrdom, of sacrifice, of accepting accepting the circumstances and being helpless. So there is an extreme polarity that Neptune is bringing into the mix, where on one end, because these devastations are happening to us on a collective scale with hurricanes and fires and floods, not just in America, but all around the world, Mexico, Iraq, earthquakes, all these sort of things that have been happening that are manipulated through our technologies, the secret technologies going on. So we're all dealing with these things on a collective scale. And so what Neptune is doing is it's being in Pisces, and now that the North Node is in Pisces, it's opening up those channels that humanity, these channels, this spiritual pain, this displacement that humanity has been carrying over through generations for hundreds of years, hundreds of years, hundreds of years, hundreds, 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 hundreds of years. Okay. Hundreds of years. I can't stop saying that. Hundreds of years of spiritual pain, of sacrifice, of cultures and indigenous people being displaced, being colonized, being burnt, genocides, refugees. All of these things happening are falling under the domain of this Neptunian Pisces transit, and it's opening up that deep karmic spiritual wound to be felt by everyone existing in this time now. And we are seeing parallels. We are seeing a mirror effect of the same shit that happened all these different centuries ago through all these different eras. And there are memories being activated within within your DNA that are coming from, things that you've already experienced genetically. And everyone here right now is the champion, is the spark of their ancestral lineages to go through this spiritual cleanse, this intense spiritual cleanse, and not be a victim, not be a little bitch, and not sacrifice yourself, and move into this higher vibration and reconnecting as the galactics are here, as our starseed alien families are here. And it is up to us. It is up to they're here, but it is up to us to awaken and activate and actually do the work in taking the power back so we can start shifting the paradigm even more, and supposedly, it's already happened. We've already done it. We're just moving through the time to catch up to the work that we did accomplish. We've been doing work in the Astros. Like this fire that's going on in LA, I swear I dreamt about me and a few other badass starseed brothers of mine, Rion being one of them, a few other folks, Rion from Team Light. I swear I dreamt this years ago where him and I and a group of us were like literal Power Rangers, and we were doing all this stuff with the fire tornadoes and the canyons and everything to save as many people as possible from dying. And there aren't, deaths have occurred during these fires, but it's not in the hundreds. It's not, it's barely in the 20s. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's trippy stuff, right? So anyways, lot going on here. And I'll just end it real quick with an article that I wrote. I'm gonna read it to y'all. Okay, so I have a Patreon account. I'm going to be changing a lot of things on how and how I run my business as an astrologer. Thank you all for your support. Really appreciate it. I would appreciate it even more if you hop on a Patreon, become a member. You can be a free member right now. Eventually, I will always make free content, but eventually, I want to form a community where a lot of my more juicier stuff or diving into topics or even lessons and lectures are for paid members only. So most of my astrological posts are going to be on my YouTube, and on my Patreon. So this is an article that I wrote last night, and I wrote full moon in Cancer, resting bitch face or constipation. The symphony of aspects. This full moon features a rich tapestry of astrological aspects. The moon in Cancer at 23-24 degrees is opposing the sun in Capricorn at the same degree. The moon forms a conjunction with Mars retrograde at 27 degrees. It sextiles Uranus retrograde in Taurus at 23 degrees. The sun in Capricorn trines Uranus retrograde at 23 degrees during the full moon. Neptune in Pisces at 27 degrees trines Mars retrograde in Cancer, and the moon in Cancer, while also sextiling the sun in Capricorn and maintaining a fading sextile to Uranus and Taurus. Venus in Pisces at 11 degrees is in conjunction with Saturn at 15 degrees Pisces. Additionally, Jupiter retrograde in Gemini at 12 degrees forms squares to both Saturn and Venus in Pisces. It's also important to note that the nodes have shifted from 0 degrees Aries Libra to 29 degrees Pisces Virgo, North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo. Analyzing the full moon. The moon in Cancer is quite busy during this full moon. She's having serious conversations with the sun, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, Venus, and even Chiron. Oh, and she will make a trine to the North Node now in Pisces before the moon shifts into Leo later that evening. One of the most obvious topics to discuss first is the moon's conjunction with Mars retrograde at 27 degrees Cancer. Remember, the moon in astrology governs our emotional, private, and intuitive world. She is our psychic satellite, always receiving and processing the psychic feelings from the ocean of emotions that surround us. Also, remember that the sign of Cancer is ruled by the moon. Both Cancer and the moon are associated with the fourth house, representing home and family, the mother archetype or the nurturer, the womb or the stomach and breast, nostalgia or memories, and even heritage or ancestral inheritance. It is the memories that are passed down through DNA via the womb of the mother. Every human being, or I should say, mammal on earth, is brought into this world through the womb of their mother. The mother is the portal that brings everything to life, literally from a realm of nothingness into being. Mars embodies assertive masculine energy, the warrior archetype. Mars retrograde in Cancer has been dealing with an intense opposition to Pluto in Aquarius. This Mars retrograde has been a roller coaster for us all. With a full moon conjunct this Mars retrograde, we may be prone to outbursts of emotional rage or passion. As I should say, it's like reaching that point of irritation that makes you snap, throwing the dishes, or punching a hole in the wall. It is likely that you have been dealing with a frustration in your life for an extended period, perhaps even up to 16 years. It could relate to family, the mother, or how you nurture and care for your own needs. In past years, you may have suppressed your frustration with choosing to nurture and tend to the emotional needs of others, leaving yourself neglected. These emotions can now surface. You may need to revisit the past and vent out certain feelings you didn't allow yourself to fully experience when they arose. On a less intense scale, this could make everyone less kind and patient towards others. Everyone might be harboring some attitude, wearing a resting bitch face because they are emotionally constipated. This is also an opportunity to release frustrations through intimate means. It's like starting a fight in the kitchen over a pile of dishes and getting carried away, saying hurtful things you didn't mean, which ultimately leads to hurt feelings everywhere. And now your deceased grandmother's favorite teacup is shattered. After the sudden breakdown of the dam and the raging waters burst forth, there is a moment of sincerity. We reach the moment of apologies and find the words to express what's truly happening in our emotional world, which just needs validation for a moment so you can realize where you need to nurture yourself better. Then the sensual craving for intimacy and bonding flows through your veins, and the pent-up tension can clear through your nervous system through sexual energies. Uranus sextile the moon and Mars brings elements of surprise and shock. It's the shock of your deceased grandmother's favorite teacup falling off the counter and shattering because no one was washing the dishes. The rage felt in that moment breaks your usual composure, releasing a tsunami of destructive emotions into your household. It in a fraction of a second, you process and relive the loss of your grandmother, keeping only her teacup in memory. And now it's shattered. The memories of making cookies or whatever are suddenly gone. Uranus carries that shock because we need that jumpstart voltage to get the juices flowing. These emotions have been pent up for far too long, and it's time to move on. It's time to accept how you truly feel. Uranus is also trine the sun in Capricorn. I summarize this as an attitude adjustment. Everyone needs an attitude adjustment in their approach to life. Where have you grown to melancholy? In what ways have you become an Eeyore, the Winnie the Pooh character in your life? How can you shift your attitude and take your words, emotions, and actions more seriously? Do you have to be aggro and down in the dumps about your feelings? Uranus, in connection to the sun, wants us to value our resources and strategize a path for success. The Venus Saturn conjunction prompts us to assess our interpersonal relationships with others. It's like a wise older person at the Oscars pulling you aside and whispering in your ear whom to avoid in the industry and whom to focus on building bonds with. With the right connections and true artistic imagination, your dreams are achievable. Know who's in your corner. Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, squaring Saturn Venus conjunction, presents another challenge and area for growth. On one hand, Jupiter in Gemini has been planting big ideas in your head, great and exciting ideas. However, at the end of the day, if no action or planning goes into these ideas, that's all they are, just ideas. On the other hand, Saturn and Venus in Pisces want to make the learning curve graceful. If you use your imagination wisely and truly believe in your worth and the value you want to create in the world, then the Pisces energy can generate serendipitous alignments. Watch out for your old subconscious blocks. However, watch out for your old subconscious blocks because they can manifest as well. You don't want the nightmare to accompany the dream. You don't want the shadows of the past. You don't want the pain of the past to overshadow the glory of now. Neptune's influence on the sun and moon is profound, especially now that the North Node is in Pisces. Neptune influences the area in your subconscious where you claim victimhood or see yourself as the martyr. It heightens your sensitivities to the point that you take things too personally and misinterpret what is truly happening in front of you. Perhaps you let the dishes pile up because for years you've been doing everyone's dishes and laundry and you're tired of it. For years you've taken care of and nurtured everyone, not because anyone asked you to, but because you put that responsibility on yourself. There came a point in the past when instead of expressing your exhaustion and personal needs, you told yourself you had to suppress them because you were of service to the family unit and had to put their needs first. Is this really true? Or is it something you believe and told yourself? Now that your grandmother's teacup is shattered, she was the only one you ever felt safe venting to. You cry and rage, but somehow you feel her presence with you, almost smelling her cookies in your mind. She's there with you in that moment. And this deeper spiritual experience is felt as you laugh at it all, the dishes, the frustration, the burdensome bullshit. Why were all these things so weighty in the first place? Neptune embodies that divine element that brings spirits, ghosts, and synchronicities. Neptune is the Christ consciousness vibration we need to transcend the pain we carry inside, like poison trapped in a blister on your heels. Compassion and surrender is key. The sun in Capricorn holds space for everyone involved to be respectful. Everyone will suddenly undergo emotional maturity growth spurts, as if all they needed to hear how immature and reliant on your nurturing they've become. everyone understands it's time to stop feeding from the bottle and to start doing your own dishes. So, intense full moon. With that being said, I am the Blu-ray Bodhisattva, Mara Mihalis. If you would like to book a reading with me, you can email me or message me directly, or you can go to my website, starseedsalsa.com, and book a session. Again, please come to my Patreon, become a member for free, or become a donating member. The time and effort that I put into creating this content is a lot. And so if you are willing to be a donating member to my account for $5 a month, that would be greatly supportive. And for people who sign up as a donating member for $5 a month, you get a coupon that will give you 10% off of my readings. That is free for you to use all year as long as you're a donating member. And that's my gift for you, for your generosity, being a supporter of my channel. And stay tuned, because I will be creating more tiers, more content, and more communities on talking about these topics, about astrology, about current events, about history, and coming together to try to figure out a higher meaning, or just to talk and vent things out. So with that being said, it is all love and light and death and darkness. We are full spectrum. We do not spiritually bypass. We look and interpret all lenses, all things into consideration, because we are on a journey to discovery and truth. Aho.